honestly, right now, for the next 18 months, our job is to do everything we can to slow all of that down to get to December of 2022, and then get in here and lead.
That's right. Chaos and obstruction is the name of the game for Republican members of Congress. What you heard right there was Republican Congressman Chip Roy, who very loudly declared that the strategy among GOP lawmakers is to essentially create chaos and obstruct until the midterm elections. And then at that point, they'll be in charge and they get to do whatever they need to do. Now, the context of this discussion was in regard to the bipartisan infrastructure bill. And it's important to know how Republican lawmakers are talking about this issue and compare it to the nonsense framing we get from corporate Democrats who pretend like they really care about bipartisanship, when in reality, they're just using that as cover for the fact that they want to do right by their corporate donors. Now, Chip Roy is very clear. He has no interest in working with Democrats. He certainly has no interest in supporting a bipartisan infrastructure bill if Democrats, progressives specifically, do indeed plan on fighting for a reconciliation bill that will pass in tandem. And so just to give you more details about this event, this is the Patriot Voices event that Chip Roy was speaking at, and Undercurrent, where Lauren Windsor does wonderful reporting, obtained this video. So the next clip that you're about to watch features a question about the infrastructure bill, and pay close attention to how Chip Roy answers it.
Oh, you had mentioned infrastructure, and I was just, this whole brouhaha over the weekend with Biden saying that they were going to ram through all this all these liberal wish list things. Why are y'all going to vote for that? Are you going to vote for the one bill if they're going to put all this other stuff in a bill that they just ram through without any bipartisan?
Well, I don't vote for anything in the House of Representatives right now. I mean, not flippantly, but there's literally just nothing to.
But I mean, I know it's the Senate, but
the Senate. So what happened? Right, the Senate was allegedly working to cut a deal. The people who were working to cut the deal, by the way, were not your conservative warriors in the Senate, and so they're cutting a deal. But then Biden, who came out and said we got a deal, allowed Pelosi basically to kind of step in and go, oh, no, you don't. You're only going to get that deal if you have reconciliation with all this liberal garbage. And then Biden said, oh, okay, yeah. And then kind of backed away from the deal. Then he kind of came back away from the veto threat, so nobody knows what anybody's going to do right now. That's the thing. This is the problem. I actually say, thank you, Lord, 18 more months of chaos confusion and the inability to get stuff done. That's what we want.
So the person you hear toward the end is Rick Santorum, former Republican senator, who says, I agree. No, we love obstruction. We love chaos. Which, by the way, I mean, they're just saying out loud what we already knew. Anyone who's paying close attention to the Republican Party and the way they operate under a Democratic administration knows that their whole strategy is to obstruct. What's frustrating is there are good faith Democrats who think that maybe there's a path forward in doing this in a bipartisan way with the addition of a reconciliation package, right? That would pass in tandem, would be signed in tandem with Joe Biden. And just for those who are wondering, okay, what's the difference? Bipartisan bill would pass with 60 votes in the Senate. You would need Republicans, of course, to vote in favor of that, which means the bipartisan version strips out everything that matters. And the reconciliation bill would be a second bill. I mean, this is such an insane strategy to begin with, but it would be a second bill that would have all the goodies that we actually do need, right? All of the human infrastructure components, like funding for elder care, funding for child care, or an extension, a permanent extension of the child care tax credits that Biden had implemented as part of his coronavirus relief package, which is really helping families out right now. So all of the good stuff would be passed through a reconciliation process in the Senate that would not require 60 votes. It would only require a simple majority. And of course, since there's 50 Democrats in the Senate, Kamala Harris, the vice president, could come in and break that tie to get the reconciliation bill passed in addition to this bipartisan bill. Now, going back to the good faith actors, there are some progressives like, actually, I can't name them. I don't know. But I've seen this effort to apply pressure on Biden to ensure that he does demand that both bills pass in tandem. I just don't believe that he's actually gonna do it. I don't know why we're going with this strategy, especially when you consider the fact that Republicans have no interest in playing along. They don't want to work with you. You go to the Senate, right? Chip Roy is in the House. You go to the Senate, and what Chip Roy said goes along with what Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell has said multiple times during the Biden administration. He has no interest in helping Biden pass his agenda. In fact, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell vowed Tuesday that Republicans would fight. They would fight attempts by Democrats to pass a jobs and families plan along party lines. Democrats are aiming to pass the package before the Senate leaves in early August. So let's get to the bad faith actors, right? So let's get to the mansions, the cinemas, the members of Congress, the Democratic members of Congress who are heavily funded by corporate interests, who pretend like they are working with Democrats and Republicans because they care about bipartisanship. In reality, as we know through leaked audio of Joe Manchin during a meeting with billionaire donors, he knows that bipartisanship isn't a reality, but he needs to use that talking point to essentially help defeat popular provisions in Joe Biden's infrastructure bill that his donors don't like. That's what this is really about. So we need to be clear about what the actual intentions are of these corporate Democrats. But we also have to be clear about the reality of the Republican Party overall. They're not interested in playing along. They're not interested in bipartisanship. So who cares about passing a bipartisanship infrastructure bill when it's crap? When it allows for $100 billion in what's referred to as asset recycling. Fancy way of saying privatizing our public infrastructure, $100 billion worth. That's what's in the bipartisan bill. It's garbage. So I think Democrats would be far better off in passing Biden's original infrastructure bill through reconciliation, throw away these fantasies about bipartisanship because it doesn't exist, and create a situation in which the midterms aren't a done deal in favor of the Republican Party. Pass legislation that improves people's lives. That way, in campaigning, Democrats can maybe campaign on something other than, oh, the other party's really icky, you don't want to vote for them. No, you can actually campaign on passing legislation that improves infrastructure, of course, but also improves people's lives materially. I know I say this all the time, I repeat myself, but it's just such a layup. Oh, well, what's gonna happen with the Senate parliamentarian? What if she says that you can't pass this infrastructure bill under reconciliation, a simple majority in the Senate? Who cares? Overrule her. That's what the Biden administration can do. Overrule her. You can do that. There really are no excuses. Really, when you boil it down, the only thing standing in the way of passing a robust infrastructure bill is corporate donors. It's the US Chamber of Commerce. It's the billionaire donors that Senator Manchin was talking to in that, what he thought, private Zoom meeting. It's amazing to me because Democrats have an opportunity here to actually do something that would be wildly popular. I mean, polling certainly indicates that upwards of 70% of Americans support the initial iteration of Biden's infrastructure bill. So get it done. Get it done. Encourage people to support the Democratic Party by actually improving their lives. And who knows, maybe that'll actually encourage them to go vote for members of Congress, Democratic members of Congress. I mean, it's amazing, like this defeatist attitude of, oh, we're likely to lose control in the midterms, that's what always happens. Well, maybe that's what always happens because you guys don't do anything. You keep capitulating to the Republican Party, which has nothing to offer voters. They don't have anything to offer their own voters other than fear-mongering about critical race theory. I mean, that's what we've been hearing about for weeks on end. Because they don't care about the economic anxiety of Americans. They don't care about the crumbling infrastructure unless they can sell it off and privatize it to corporations. I mean, progressives need to band together and they need to be very clear with voters about what's actually going on. And I really think that there's an easy path to victory for the Democratic Party. They're just unwilling to go through with it.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.